Hello, my name is Maria Victoria ALCOCER and this is my final exam for LenSE 3. We were asked to analyze a course book in which English for specific purposes was taught. In my case, I have decided to analyze the course book English for Nursing 1, a vocational English course book from Pearson. Well, it is a A1 level course book according to the Common European Framework of Reference, and the target students are students who want to be nurses, students who are graduated students from nursing, but in both cases they are students who need to learn English in order to work in hospitals, clinics and healthcare centers. So they need to learn English for occupational purposes. First, I would like to talk about the organization of the course book. The content is divided into 8 units, and each unit works with 4 functions. These functions are presented as subheadings, and they have their own sections that develop different macro abilities. For example, here we have the listening, and sometimes these sections provide grammatical explanations. Here we have the section language, for example. Then after the units, we have 2 more sections, the partner file sections, in which we can find the second part of the information gap activities included in the units. And well, in these information gap activities, one student has the information that another one needs in order to complete an activity or a task. And well, there is this negotiation of meaning. That's why it is said that these activities foster communication. And I'm going to expand on that later. Then we have the audio script section, in which we can find the written form of the audios that are used in the units. And I think it is useful because students from this level, usually they can't understand everything from the audios. So they can listen to the audio 1, 2, or 3 times, and then they can listen to the audio and read at the same time in order to expand the comprehension of the audio. Now I would like to analyze how new input was presented. I found 3 ways in which input was presented. And well, sometimes the functions were presented through audios or texts. For example, here the function introducing yourself to the team is presented through different conversations that students have to listen to in order to solve this activity. And then we have the grammatical explanation. In this case, there is no an instance where students are encouraged to make inferences. And then the grammatical structure, the grammatical explanation is given explicitly. So there is no inference in this case. Then I have seen that most of the vocabulary is presented through matching activities. Students have to match this vocabulary without any context with the pictures. And I know that students can use cognates and some of them the background knowledge, but I would say that many students would need to use a dictionary in this case. So again, there is no inference here in these cases. Then I have also found that sometimes functions are presented in this way, with the grammatical explanation from the very beginning, and then they have to use that knowledge, that information to complete the activities. Again, there is no inference here. So as a conclusion, I can say that this course book has considered a deductive approach. However, since sometimes the audios and texts presented some functions, the teacher can guide students to make inferences, and in that case, this book could be used to use an inductive approach. But again, it is up to the teacher that he or she has to ask the correct questions or create the correct exercises, the correct activities in order to promote that inference. Then, well, now I'm going to talk about the 4 macro abilities, how the book works with these ones. First, we have reading, and well, the book works with articles, leaflets, sites that contain relevant information about diseases, treatments, and medical information in general. It is great because it matches students' interests and their needs. These are topics that are familiar to them. When, as regards the activities that accompany these leaflets and articles, most of them are focused on specific bits of information. They have to identify that information in order to solve true or false activities or matching activities. And well, I could find some questions, but they were just 1 and 2, that fostered this comprehension of the text as a whole. So it would be great if more of these activities were included. And it would be also great if the activities were more complex than just selected response activities. But for example, students could be encouraged to express their points of view, but it is just a proposal. Then I have also seen that activities don't take advantage of top-down strategies, which is a pity because sometimes students' background knowledge and their experience can help them to comprehend the text better. As regards writing, it is not the focus of this book, of this course book, because in the whole book, I think there are just 6 activities that foster writing. Well, there are exceptions, but most of these activities were about read the text and complete the spaces with the correct form of the verbs in brackets. Those were the exercises. So they were very controlled activities, and you can notice that it was not the focus, writing. And I think that writing was not the focus because it was more important oral communication. And that's why speaking was emphasized, because oral interaction is crucial in nursing. I have already mentioned the information gap activities. Well, they are great because students not only produce the language, but they also interact with others. They negotiate meaning. And as I said, these activities encourage communication. That's why I think that this coursebook has considered a communicative approach because language is used meaningfully. This means it is used with a purpose and it is used in context. These information gap activities resemble real-life situations from hospitals and clinics, and they show how this book has considered students' needs in order to create the content. As regards listening, the audios contain different hospital situations in which we can find doctors, nurses, patients, and patients' families. And the activities are really similar to the reading activities. They are focused on specific bits of information. There is no this understanding of the text as a whole. These are controlled activities, and students are not encouraged to express their ideas. Now I would like to talk about some general aspects of this coursebook. As regards contextualization, I have already said that these information gap activities resemble situations from real life in hospitals. And I have already said that these activities foster the meaningful use of the language. So there is a purpose for using the language. That's why I would say that there is a contextualization there. But I cannot say the same about the activities from the units because although they try to be contextualized because the topics are about nursing, it is you can notice that these activities don't have a communicative purpose. So the aim is just practicing the structures or the vocabulary. Then we can see that this book wants to develop students' communicative competence because of this emphasis on oral communication and well, the information lab activities with the, that encourage the meaningful use of the language. This coursebook also considers students' pragmatic competence because students learn how to communicate according to a context and considering social relations. They work with the concept of politeness, and they learn how to produce polite requests, which is necessary in order to interact with patients appropriately. As regards strategic competence, this coursebook didn't consider a strategic competence because, well, first of all, strategic competence is necessary in order to ensure mutual understanding. That's why I think that nurses need to know how to clarify understanding and ask for repetition in the case that they couldn't hear the patients because of any reason. Then, as regards assessment, I couldn't find an instance where students were assessed. So if the teacher wanted to carry out a summative assessment, he or she would need to create a test or a way in which students would be assessed. And in the case of formative assessment, the teacher can provide feedback on the activities of the coursebook. Well, as regards my proposals for updating this book, I would include well, the communicative strategies, because nurses work with important information. Patients' health depends on their understanding, so they should learn how to ask for repetition politely, how to clarify understanding. Then I would also include material as regards self-assessment, for example, rubrics or tests. We have talked in class about how adults usually take responsibility on their own learning. And I would take advantage of this characteristic and provide adults with these rubrics or tests that they can take on their own, so that they can identify their achievements and what needs to be reinforced. Then I would include 21st century skills, for example, critical thinking. I mentioned that activities from the section listening could be more complex. And a way of doing so is including 21st century skills. Now, how? Well, for example, the audio could present a problematic situation from hospitals, and students could be asked to share their points of view and provide a possible solution. So in order to do so, students would need to listen to the audio attentively, comprehend the situation as a whole, what is happening, analyze the situation, and then create a possible solution. This would develop students' critical thinking, that's the word. And I think it is an important aspect to be developed because in hospitals, there are lots of problematic situations and nurses need to know how to react at that moment. So if they can work with their critical thinking at this stage, well, it would be great. Well, that's all. Thanks for your attention, and I will be waiting for your feedback.